All right, welcome back, everybody. We have more listener questions for you. As always, email us at askus@traptalkpodcast.com. And this question is coming in from Nico. Nico says, my question for you guys is how to get to the next level and stay there. I started shooting ATA in 2017, and I got better each year. I made the 2020 All-American team as a junior gold second team. Congrats. In 2021, I was just short of finishing AA, 27, AA. Good job, man. In the 2022 year, I was able to achieve AA, 27, AA award. This is the first year that my averages didn't improve, and overall, I felt like I didn't shoot very well. I try not to focus on averages too much and more on, what a winning score is, but still, I use averages to track my goals. I feel like my consistency was never good this year. I had some good scores, but week to week, I was up and down. I had a few 199s in singles. I had a few 98s in handicap, and I finally shot my first 100 in doubles, but there was also a 186 in singles and a mid-80s in handicap and a low 90s and a high 80s in doubles. How do I get rid of these low scores? Let's stop there and let you guys kind of catch up with Nico here. There's a couple more comments we can get into, but this is long-term consistency. I mean, this is a big one in the sport. And it sounds like Nico, if he made junior gold in 2020, so he's on the younger side, right? Younger shooter.
Yeah, junior gold would be 19 to what, Zach, 24?
23 maybe? Or, yeah.
23.
So young man here. Yeah.
You know what? I would congrats on breaking your first 100 in doubles, first off.
For sure.
That's an awesome accomplishment. I would say practice where, is the conditions, every year, and Zach can attest to this. I mean, I've got decent averages or good averages. I'm not an average shooter. The ATA doesn't pay you for an average, so I shoot.
Yeah, I would say you're above average.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all great. I've been fortunate. I've led the country in all around average. I've led, I think, doubles, once or twice. Singles, I've been close, a couple times. But I don't go out there every day to shoot for an average. I go out there to win. So a win, no matter if it's 100 or a 90, it's a win. And John can attest to this at the state shoot this year.
I was just going to say, you're not a guy who's getting in his trailer and leaving on the handicap.
Yeah, so here's what I would suggest is practice, set a routine, a practice regimen, see how that goes, set some goals for that, use a journal and, list out your scores, the conditions, what's changed. That's the thing. You got to look year to year because I know year to year, same shoots I go to, some years it's great. Like this year, the Autumn Grand, the weather was good, except for Sunday's handicap. It blew.
Yeah.
But you look at years past, and it's been beautiful. Now fast forward, we're going to be at the Spring Grand here in a couple months. In the past, we've had some really great weather. And then last year, Zach and I missed it because we were in Dubai, and it was pretty bad weather. So that can dictate, your scores. So I wouldn't get wrapped up so much on, I didn't improve. I would look as why didn't I improve? Was it because weather related? Was it, there's a list of things that it could be. So I would really set it and get a journal and start keeping track of stuff. And then you can kind of look back. My journal's in my head of what, everything is, but I would suggest that. But the practice, do that, set some goals and try to accomplish them, the short term, the mid season, the long term, which is into the season, and then your bucket list goals. So that'd be my recommendation.
I think from hearing his question and the way he worded it, it sounded like he was very specific at the beginning. He said, I really want to get here, and I really want to get here, and I really want to get here. And he did it, and he did it, and he did it, right? So going back to what Rick said about goals, it could be that he wasn't really clear about what the goal was going into that season. Like he wasn't
sure.
laser focused on, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And you've got to be very decisive on that. So if it's going to be average, it's average. You can't, wish-wash around if it's a bad year, because of weather. Like if you're going to pick, hey, I'm going to make AAA 27 AAA, and that's the goal, well, then that's the goal, right? Yeah. So first thing, establish a goal that's meaningful to you, right? The other thing is I think it's very funny how only in trap shooting we expect to get better every single year, every single shoot, where in every single aspect of life and business, the greatest people fail countlessly. Oh, yeah. And if you look at Hall of Famers in the MLB, they're batting .333. They're missing 2/3 of their at bats, and they're in the Hall of Fame, right? So I think you need to know that failure sometimes can be turned into your greatest success. My greatest state shoots and my greatest Grand American performances were in the previous year. I fell on my face, and I had to eat that humble pie, and I had to say, you know what, I got beat, and it caused me to go back and work on my craft. Where, flip that. I let's say I had an amazing state shoot in a year, and then the next year I'm going into it all happy and saturated and like, oh yeah, I just, crushed it last year. We're going to crush it this year. And I just kind of went in there and I wasn't fighting and I wasn't hungry and I got beat. So it's knowing that failure can bring you to that next level of working yourself up and perfecting your game a little bit, because I think when you're in that spot where, you're kind of like, I'm inconsistent. Well, why? Am I moving on the call? Maybe is it time to tighten up my chokes? Maybe is it time to try to become better at breaking the targets? Not just hitting the target, but smoking the target, right? So I would say those are some areas that you could look into and try to improve your game, but a little more focus, a little more determination, and accepting that failure can be a good teacher in the long run if you harness that and use it properly.
Yeah. That's what I say, the practice. That's going to be your biggest deal in the goals. Set something that you can accomplish, because like Zach said, and it's true, and I've always said this, if you set a goal and you accomplish it, we as humans like self-satisfaction. So if we have that's, and Zach is right. Never go into a shoot though, and I know Zach touched on this with himself, failing at one shoot and then, coming back being more hungry. No matter how I do it the year prior, that's in the past. There's nothing that the past is going to help me get into this shoot except for knowing that maybe a score I broke. Mm-hmm. You're straight in the handicap. You can rely back on this, or straight in the doubles. You can go, hey, I've done this here before. That sort of stuff, that's fine. But anything else, just worry about the now, And I know when Zach's talking about, state shoots, I've had to talk him through a few state championships at Missouri when I wasn't there. So
yeah, it's true. The only way you're going to get Ricky thinking about the past is if you say, yeah, Ricky, you can't go back to back, or oh, you won't. Well, that's how you get him thinking about, oh yeah, you watch me. But other than that, he's pretty good about what he's saying.
Yeah.
Don't poke the bear. Remember?
Don't poke the bear, people.
Hey, Ricky, you work with a lot of younger shooters, and Zach, I know you do too. One of the things I see, just not from working with them, but just, there's younger shooters out here, and I just find that sometimes they have a shorter perspective, right? They're younger, right? So, Nico is telling us, hey, I started shooting ATA in 2017. He's on the All-American team in 2020.
3 years.
That's really that's like 2 or 3 seasons later. That's a huge jump in accomplishment right away, right? Whereas if you look at Ricky's been shooting for 30 plus years, Zach, you've been on the 15 years, 20 years. What are we at now? I mean, 20 years, right? I think what you see over time is those up and downs, those bad numbers, right? It's like the stock market, right? Stock market always goes up. But if you zoom in, there's a lot of downs, then a lot of downs. There's a lot of downs, and that's kind of how trap shooting feels sometimes. It's like you're going to grind. There's going to be conditions. There's going to be days where you just can't get your mind to care about singles. There's just going to be those days, Nico, and
anything.
you know,
and
or
John's
anything. That,
Or this year, hey, I was there this year at the Grand watching Zach break 100 after 100. I was like, who the hell is this guy? You know, he's making 100.
It wasn't hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but I hit a few of them. I hit like 4 or 5 in a row. I was like, yeah, I got this.
You were like 490 straight, and then I was like, Zach, but no, it is one of those things that, you know what, enjoy it, don't overthink it. And one of my famous sayings I tell all my students is, don't let a bad post turn into a bad round. A bad round turn into a bad event, and a bad event turn into a bad day, and a bad day into a bad shoot. Because guess what? We're out there enjoying something we'd love to do. You know what? Shoot, you have a bad event, just, you know what? Go sit in the clubhouse.
It's gone. It's gone. And I do think John has a great point. You're going to, as experience, like I've watched Ricky shoot for years, and I can tell you that his lows and his highs aren't that far away. And I think with a certain amount of experience, your lows are not quite as low, and your highs, I mean, you're closer to them. And it's just an average, right? Like if you get, that point to where you're a 99 average single shooter, well, you're going to go 199.98, 199.98, 199.98. You're not going to.
Damn it.
But it's just the dips and the valleys are not as severe as when you're new and learning. You might go, 5 or 10 birds of variance in between days where, it takes 15 or 20 years before you get to a point where you're like, okay, I only vary within 3 or 4 targets of a score. I mean, that's just standard deviation and variance.
Yeah.
Well, you don't try. Zach, is when you're with the experience and the long term of shooting is when you're out there and you're just starting first 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you're having a bad round and you're like, and then you're like, I'm going to do this. And then you miss 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been doing this 36 years, and I can tell you, I used to do that stuff in that first 5, 10 years. Now, I missed something. I'm like, okay, I missed it, blah, 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 boom. I'm not like, I'm going to do this now. Why? Mm-mm. And that's part of the deal. And it's they're not secrets of the game. It's just experience. And, like, okay, what do I need to do? So just enjoy it, Nico. Have fun. Mm-hmm. You're going to, as long as the gun fits you and it shoots where you're looking, practice. Set that practice.
Well, and, you look at what Nico's saying here, too, and he said, this is the first year that my averages didn't improve, and overall I felt like it didn't shoot very well. So, okay, your averages might not have improved, but you were still shooting, which means you were still learning. And, some of those times you win, and some of those times you learn. And in some of those times when you're grinding and you turned 1 loss into 5 because, it got in your head, well, you just learned, don't do that, just stay in it, let that loss go, right?
Well, look at Nevada State, John, on Sunday. The 50 birder, okay, which was registered too, and the handicap, of course, and I'm getting calls while I'm in San Antonio at the Fiocchi team meeting. They're like, man, what happened to you? Someone said you broke 86 on Sunday's handicap, and I said I got runner up, and they went, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I could care less if I broke 75 out of 100. I got runner up and got all the money, Calcutta and stuff. I was like, that's where I state a win's a win, not because of the score. So don't always judge. I don't have my averages in front of me, and I'm sure I could pull it up and look where there's been years where, boom, 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 I jump up on all 3 and then whoop, and then maybe, and I can go and look and go, oh yeah, I shot here. Yep. The weather was horrendous. And I broke, 4 handicap scores of 87 to 91. Yeah. It happens. I mean,
because you'd have to look at his score, when Nico's talking about the 186 in singles, for example. Hey, buddy, we've all been there.
What was going on? What was going on in your head? There's all that stuff to analyze. And that's why I don't like to turn it into you got to analyze all the time, but I do turn it into that I'm aware. I'm out there watching, not like stone cold focused on every target, but I watch everybody's targets on the squad, as we all do. You know, but I'm also aware of my surroundings. So there's a lot of stuff could be come into play with Nico. So what else did he have to say, John? What was his
I think, just to finish it off, so he talked about, some of those low scores and just, kind of understanding why that happened. He says, I shoot a Blaser F3 Super Strat with the factory stock. I feel like it fits me and I have shot good scores with it, but I do think about the K80 at times or a custom stock. I mean, hey, Nico, you're thinking the right things here, buddy.
Hey,
Nico, I'll hook you up.
There's nothing wrong with saying he's got good equipment because he's breaking good scores with it. But I would think, custom stock is going to make it to where you can duplicate that mount every single time. From there, it's going to come down to swing, and obviously, me and Rick are kind of partial to these K80s, but we shoot them. I like the way they move. I like the way they feel. I like the way they shoot. I mean, I can say that everybody's going to have their preference, but I think a quality gun and I think a good custom fit is going to make a difference long term. If you're at that point where you've plateaued and you're like, okay, how do I take it to the next level?
Well, you got to remember too, Zach, what he said. He started in 17. Okay.
Yep.
All the way to 23. So the name sounded really familiar. So I'm sure, I've run into him. And if not, Nico, come up, introduce yourself,
well, and also if you're junior gold and you're in that 18, 19, 20, 21, then you're probably growing. Right.
So grown, things have changed, gun fit, all. So I bet you a little bit has to do with the gun fit for sure. So
it can play a role because if you're growing out of a gun, I mean, so just to finish it off here, he said, I'm sure the K80 could be more of a mental thing, and maybe it won't be the magic fit, but could it help? I think we all agree. Yep.
It can't hurt. I don't think it's going to be like I don't think a gun is like a magical wand of magic and then you shoot. But I do think that if you like the way it swings and it works well, then there's something to be said about that.
Well, you could also say there's no hurt in trying it. I mean, if you're making the All-American team, you're going to big shoots. At big shoots are vendors like Game Masters, like Ricky, who's going to be at the Spring Grand in February. Come out, see him, grab a K80, take it out there, see how it feels. You can always try. It doesn't hurt to try it.
Why wouldn't you shoot it? Why wouldn't you shoot it and try it? Why wouldn't you try things and go from there? It's available to you. That's the best advice I would give.
Absolutely.
All right. So since Nico's given us a lot of gold here, I'm going to just finish it off here. So he talks about, he knows the K80 might not be the magical fix, but he's wondering, if he should give it a try. Listen, doesn't hurt to try. And then he said, the last question I have is just about a custom stock. And so he says, about a custom stock is how much can you change in the weight before you need a new one? And I think he's talking about personal weight, because he says it would not hurt me to lose a few pounds and I wouldn't want to get a stock and then need a new one next year. Sorry for the long question, but in short, how do I go from AA to AAA and stay there? I really enjoy the podcast and listen to you every week. Nico, I know these guys have comments on custom stock. I will just tell you that me personally, just getting my custom stock from Wenig and being a little lighter than when I had it made, it'll still work. You're just gonna make sure you get that adjustable comb, right? So you can move it over. And that stock can stay with you, because what doesn't really change so much is, right, Rick, is your length of pull. That part doesn't change as much,
it can
right?
Change a little bit, but going on what John just said, and how it can work, blah blah blah. So I'm heavier now than what I was when I had my custom stock made in 2007.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've had that one a while. Yeah.
It's the same stock.
It's only gotten better.
Yeah, exactly. It's working better.
I moved it over, away from my face a little bit, because, the ho-hos when the Twinkies were getting too much. Hey,
Yeah,
I
and
like those. So,
I'll
but
agree with Rick.
that's yeah.
I got my custom Wenig for the Krieghoff back in 2010, I think. And from 2010 until like the highest weight that I ever hit, there was like a 50 pounds difference. And over that, I didn't shoot it worse. Like I shot it better. Now I'm actually coming back down the other way slightly, not as fast. But it's one of those things where I am interested in getting a new stock now just because of the changes. But
Well, you changed guns too, Zach.
you changed guns. So
I'm on a higher rib profile, and that's why I'm going down that road of changes. But as far as the same gun and my old stock, it didn't really. I mean, I had a little bit of moving the comb up and down and left and right, but I mean, as far as twist goes, the twist isn't going to change that much, regardless of your weight. I think more it's left, right, up, down on that comb.
Yep.
Yeah, because the custom stock different from factory stocks is there's a lot of change in the grip, the way the grip is done. So that right there is an improvement. It has nothing to do with your weight or anything like that.
Yeah, you get real fat or skinny, your hands the same size.
Right. Yeah, it's more about your cheeks. Right. Yeah.
Hey,
right.
There's some things that no matter how much weight you gain or lose, they stay the same size. Your hands are one.
Yeah, so you can move the comb. You can put a skinnier pad or a thicker pad, right, Rick? Like, when I got mine done, you told me, hey, don't cut the stock. Just get 3 different pads and see, which one you like. That was a huge advice for me. I loved that. It worked out perfectly. And I've actually got the comb sitting to the left of the wood now, whereas it usually sits to the right of the wood, right? But it works. It fits my hand perfectly, and now it's coming up to the shoulder the way I need it to. So, Nico, it's getting a lot better. So, Nico, I wouldn't worry about that as much, but this was a great conversation. We really appreciate you opening up and sending this question to us. And listen, you can do it, and no matter what's happening out there with that score, you're learning something, and you're becoming a better shooter every time you pull the trigger, whether you hit it or not. So just stay in it, man.
Have fun.
Listen, have fun, and let's not forget about these accomplishments that you've had very early in your shooting career. To make the All-American team 3 seasons in is a huge accomplishment. Like, congratulations. That's freaking awesome. So keep it up, buddy. Keep us informed. Make sure you come see us at the Spring Grand. We hope you're out there. Come and talk to us, and I guess try that K80 over at Game Masters.
Don't look for me.
All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So thank you again, Nico. We really appreciate it. As always, email us at askus@traptalkpodcast.com, and we'll get these 2 guys to answer questions for you. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.